Hello and welcome to another YouTube exclusive of the Smash Accept podcast. I'm your host, Michael Royer. You can find me on Twitter at DynastyDadFF. We got such an overwhelming response to last week's show about our Dynasty trade special and everybody asking for Brock to come back as a host. We're going to run it back again. You know, we have 15 trades we're going to try to get to. If you guys have them on YouTube and you guys have been following along, make sure you guys use that super chat and we can jump into yours. But we have 15 from the Patreon, from Twitter, from YouTube, all over the place. Nothing better than talking trades with my main man, Snoog. How you doing, brother?
Anytime there's a trade show, you know I'm in. So I'm excited for this one. Going through like 15 plus trades, helping you guys out, kind of figure out the dynasty landscape and what it's like right now before we get into combine and NFL draft talk. So I'm excited. This is going to be a fun one, and Brock's the guy for it. So let's see it.
Yeah, and everybody was like, you know, Dad, we're kind of tired of you in the host chair. You've been doing it for nearly 300 episodes. We're at episode 298 right now. That's what this one's going to be. And they're like, yo, Brock killed it last week. You got to get him back on the show. Hey, you got to give the people what they want, Brock. Welcome back.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. And, you know, you sent these over earlier, just looking through them. Pretty much all of them have a rookie pick involved. So it's really exciting. This is the best part of Dynasty. We mentioned it last week. We're going to be hitting you guys with some trade shows every single Tuesday, all leading up through the combine, through the draft, through everything with rookies. So really looking forward to it. So let's kick things off.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I mean, Brock's been doing the edits on all the, 2025 rookie stuff that we've been talking about. We're into the Senior Bowl now. We are here in our Patreon to help you guys win your Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues in 2025. And that starts with the draft and offseason moves right now. Our Discord is up. That is, what we have is Snoog has created a Discord where it has all of our content, literally a one-stop shop to get all of our rookie rankings, all of our startup rankings, all of the values, buys, sells, you name it, we got it. Once you pay through Patreon, you will get a link to the Discord. That's patreon.com/smash accept. No better way to smash than talking about trades, though. All right, let's start it off. Brock, take over the show.
Yeah, let's kick things off. And what is this one? This is the Wild Wild West. It's a league with you in it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. All right, so our first trade is going to be one side, Lamar Jackson, Kirk Cousins, and Isaiah Likely. Other side is going to be Bryce Young, mid-26 first, a mid to late 27 first. You're trading away your own 27 first, a 26 third, and A.D. Mitchell. So quite a big trade here, and this is one that you did, right?
So let me preface this. I'm in here with Snoog, okay? I have dominated the regular season. I've been the 1 seed 2 straight years. Oh no, Snoog got it this year. So I've been high points 2 straight years. I've come in 3rd place 2 straight years, and my team is old. Like, there's nothing worse than aging without picks. The only pick I have is my 26 first and Snoog's 26 first. So I'm like, okay, I'm an aging veteran team here. I'm gonna blow it up. Snoog, you got to be ecstatic because you don't have to worry about me in the playoffs. But what do you think of this trade? And then Brock, since it's my trade, I can't really assess it. So we're going to turn it back to the host and let you go. So Snoog, what do you think?
Yeah, I was kind of hoping that you'd keep pulling a Pittsburgh Steelers, Brock's team with Mike Tomlin, just trying to hang in there and be a pretender every year, even though your team's old as a dinosaur. But no, it feels good to get you out of there. Go to the rebuild side and let me take care of business at the top.
Yeah, and Brock, I mean, just to preface this one, so, it's Bryce Young. The mid-26 first finished as the 105 last year. So he's right there in that middle. The guy that's trading for Lamar Jackson was mid this year, but it could move towards late in 2 years, depending. My 27 first, I'm looking at turning it into likely the 27 101 because I'm going to rebuild it. And then I got him to throw Adonai Mitchell in the 3rd in just for some kicks and giggles.
Yeah, honestly, if you're moving a stud like this, you obviously never want to be on a side of a trade that's giving away one of those top 3 assets in the Superflex league. But I mean, you're getting what he's worth. You're getting 3 to 4 firsts. If you add in, Bryce Young, probably worth a late first, early second now with the end of the year that he had. And then you tack on the 26 third and A.D. Mitchell. This is one of those trades where if you're getting off of a top 3 dynasty asset like this, you got what he deserved. You got what you deserved. You got what he's worth. Now you have a plan for the future. It's all about having a plan. This is the first step to kind of kick that down. And you're not just, what am I going to do? How am I going to navigate the next 2 years? You got the assets now. You got the draft capital. Does hate giving away Lamar, but I think you got worth here in this one.
The thing I like about this trade is getting your 27 first back because you have that vision of going into the rebuild. you can't do that without your first, especially in a class as good as the 2027 with generational type value and prospects like a Jeremiah Smith coming in. So getting your 27 first back allows you to rebuild this year and next year and give you that flexibility.
Yeah, and the interesting part is now I have 5 firsts to play with, and I have an aging team. But I'm like, you know what? If no one's making trades, because so many people are like, Dad, how do you sell Devontae Adams and Tyreek Hill now? And I'm like, not for peanuts. I could still contend. I mean, I could go ahead and roll with Bryce Young and what I have, and then use 1 or 2 of these and keep the other 3. But I just had to throw that one in there because I'm making trades too. You know, we're always trying to improve ourselves, and iron sharpens iron. And we say when you're doing a rebuild, make it a splash trade, get something big. You know, so there we go.
Yeah, that was a good one. So moving on to trade number 2, coming from Jacob Parr. One side's going to be a 27 first in the 208, and the other side is going to be Michael Penix. And it's a start 12, and this guy already has Lamar and Caleb as his quarterbacks. Snoog, what do we think here?
I'm taking the first all day. I don't like Michael Penix to begin with. Didn't like him as a prospect. Think he's a game manager type player at best. Don't see much upside. I'll take the re-roll on a 27 first, considering you probably got him with a mid-second to begin with. So you're already tripling your value, plus you're getting another second back. A lot of people got Penix in that like 204 to 208 range. So you're probably just getting a free 27 first on top. You can't really go wrong there. I also don't really think like what Michael Penix is what at best, Jimmy Garoppolo, like maybe a Kirk Cousins. Like it's just not for me. So I don't think maybe he gains a little bit of value, but I don't think he's worth that. So I'll take the first all day.
Yeah, I kind of look at this as like you already have Lamar and Caleb. So what the process here is, and exactly. I think Michael Penix Jr.
And he has Hurts. And he had Hurts as well. So he has Lamar, Caleb, and Hurts. Yeah.
This is the perfect time to do that. I mean, Michael Penix Jr., I'm seeing right now on Dynasty Data Lab is the equivalent of the 105. Smash that all day. I mean, you know, we're just talking quarterbacks for quarterbacks. You look at Michael Penix Jr., and he's, in my mind, definitely behind J.J. McCarthy, you know, guys from last year's class. And if Shedeur gets the right landing spot, I mean, the difference is Penix is in Atlanta with Drake London, with Bijan Robinson, and that's what gets people excited. But of his 4 starts, only one of them was a quality start. The other 3 were not pretty, you know? So, I mean, if you get a 27 first and it has a chance to be mid, and then you take the 208 and you get something in this class, which we know is going to be a nice level running back, I'm perfectly fine with that.
Yeah. There was one other part of that message that I kind of wanted to touch on, and he said he drafted Penix at the 209. So I guess my question to you guys, kind of trying to pick your brain a little bit, how much does what you acquired a player go into what you'd be willing to sell him for? You know, if you take a player at a 209, are you willing to trade him for anything above that? Does it matter how much value that player's kind of accrued over time? Or it's like, hey, I've seen people pick up Jalen Coker off waivers, just get any third you can get for him. Is it always trying to just get more than what you paid for it? Or does how the player performed kind of change your mindset? I'll start there with you, Dad.
Yeah, I think it's market value. I mean, you have to be smart about it, right? Like people that said that right off the bat with like Puka Nacua, you're like, oh, I got him for a third.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You're in camp, you're like, let's sell him for a 26 second. And now he's worth almost 3 firsts. So it's like, if you have a Jalen Coker for me at any point, if I could package him with a third and get a second, I'm going to do it because it's process over results, because he's not a high draft capital guy. He's not a guy that, you know, has great longevity for the league. A guy like Michael Penix, if his value right now is the 105, I'm not just going to sell him for the 202 because that's the best offer I get. Same, I'm getting a lot of that with J.J. McCarthy right now. People are like, Dad, I drafted him at 112 and somebody's offering me the 111. Should I sell it? And I'm like, no, because we talked about last show, if and when he becomes a Vikings quarterback, he's worth 2 firsts. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just playing that market value. What do you think, Snoop?
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's all about the market value, kind of what a player's worth. If they're worth for example, a good player to talk about that with is Bryce Young, like a guy that was worth a mid-second after a horrible rookie year, revives his value kind of towards the end of that end of 2024 season this past year. And this is a guy that people were taking like 102 to 104 in a loaded top end of the class with 2 elite running backs, an elite wide receiver, a couple elite quarterback prospects. You're not just going to sell him now for an early second. Like if I'm going to sell him, I'm getting at least half of what I got back or 3/4 of it. So I'm getting a first and probably a second. You can get a random 27 first plus a second for Bryce Young right now. I guarantee it in most leagues, especially in competitive leagues, like where people are like not just selling someone low because they had a bad rookie year or something. Like people see that promising breakout towards the end. He gains his value back. You're not going to get the 102 for him, but you could probably get like a 107-ish, 106-ish in value. That's what I would be looking for, or I'm holding him and letting him bloom next year and then flipping him. Because we've seen this with a lot of guys. Like, look at Trevor Lawrence. Like, his rookie year was horrible. Then he had a big bounce back sophomore year, and then he had another bad year this year. He was injured, all that. He's back to like QB 18 in market value. Now's a good time to buy in, but I'm not selling him for less than he's worth. So that's like, it happens for a lot of people that have bad years or bad following years. Like CJ Stroud's another one, or guys that got injured and then they have a fall off season and everyone wants to get rid of them, but they're willing to sell for way less than what they're actually worth. I don't do that. I'll hold, or I'll go buy in other leagues if that's the case.
And Bryce Young's kind of fun right now, right? I mean, because he has the draft capital, number 1 overall pick. You look at him over the final 7 weeks of the season, he was the top 10 quarterback. Do I think he's going to keep progressing that way with Dave Canales? I actually do. Like, I think he finishes in that 12 to 15 range year after year now. And once they start adding weapons, he's a decent buy at this point. So that's a great point, Snoop.
Yeah. So moving on to trade number 3 from Adam over from Twitter. So he said, thoughts on this 1-for-1 trade. So he has Achane, sounds like, and he can either move him for either Garrett Wilson or JSN. So I guess the first part of the question is, would you trade Achane for either of these receivers? And the second part of it's like, who do you prefer, Garrett Wilson or JSN? What do you think, Snoog?
This one's tough. I'm definitely taking Garrett Wilson over JSN. I would take Garrett Wilson over Achane. I'd take Achane over JSN. And I just think, because I think Achane has such a higher ceiling fantasy point wise in the next year or two, where it's just worth it to take him over JSN, and he's still a young running back. He's one of the guys. There's like 8 running backs that we have in the fantasy football Discord right now that we're not selling. But with this loaded draft class coming in, I expect many of your, not saying James Cook, but your Kyron Williams, James Cook, like those type of running backs to get a friend. They're going to get a friend in the backfield, whether it's day 3, late day 2, early day 2, a Quinshad Judkins falls to round 3 and the Rams are on the clock. Like, those are the type of players that I don't necessarily think Kyron Williams or James Cook are going to get replaced. I actually think they're probably on the safer side, because they've had recent, like Blake Corum last year in day 2, Ray Davis on like round 4 last year. I think that they're kind of on the safer side because their teams need other assets. But for everybody else, it's like, I don't want anything to do with you. I will buy running backs when the NFL draft ends. Like, I want to see where these rookies go before I start investing in running backs, unless it's literally one of those big guys like Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, Saquon Barkley, Devin Achane, like those type of guys. But Dad and I have talked about this a lot, especially with a lot of people in the Discord, and they're like, well, how come are you selling this guy? It's because you can name about 12 running backs in this year's class that would have been RB1 last year. And like 4 running backs went day 2 last year. So process over results. That's kind of where I'm at with the running back landscape, and why I'd kind of lean Garrett Wilson over a guy like Achane, but Achane over JSN.
This is what I love about this show, is normally we would kind of roll through. I disagree on both. Devon Achane's my biggest sell in Dynasty, period. Okay, because you look at what he did without Tua, and he was borderline a mid RB2 at best for me. I actually have JSN ranked above Garrett Wilson at this point too. I have him as my wide receiver 9 and Garrett as my wide receiver 11. Same tier, so that's splitting hairs. But what I said to this guy, and this is something that that's a coin term that I came up with that we've used quite a bit in the Discord, is a reduced volatility trade. So what I'm doing here, Brock, is I'm taking Devon Achane and I'm pairing him with an older wide receiver, and I'm getting Garrett Wilson plus Alvin Kamara. And the way we're talking about a reduced volatility, the most volatile position in football is the running back position, right? So I'm getting a young elite wide receiver in Garrett Wilson or Jackson Smith and Jigba, and I'm getting rid of one of my older wide receivers and getting a production running back. So what I told him in this trade is, we're going 2 for 2, baby. Like, you give me, we're going to do Achane and, maybe Keenan Allen for Garrett Wilson and Alvin Kamara. Like, that's the kind of move that I'm making here, because he really wants Achane. That's got to be the guy that's put you over the top. I think JSN, we're going to start to see him. There's a lot of rumor about DK Metcalf getting traded, and we might see him really blow the top off, and he's one of my bigger buys. So I love buying Wilson. I love buying JSN. I'm selling Achane everywhere I can.
Yeah. Interesting nugget there. So moving on to trade number 4, Sal Martinez. Trade's coming from the Patreon. I think this one's going to be pretty easy, but let's still go over it. Drake London or the 102? Snoog, what do we think?
That it's Drake London, but that's actually very close for me because I think post draft, the 102 is going to have more value. Okay. I really do. It's going to be like right there. It's not even because like I'm thinking like Tet over London because I prefer London. I just think like that 102, whoever, like picture like Travion Henderson goes late round 1 to the Chargers, or like Judkins falls like to the Vikings round 1. Like that running back will be valued more than Drake London the day he's picked. Or like if Cam Ward goes to the Giants or something like that type of trade. Yeah, Dad gets it. That type of move. I'm not saying I would value it over London, but the general consensus will. And that's going to be what puts you over the top in your fantasy league, holding that 102. You can go flip it for a better wide receiver than London.
This is what people don't understand, and they keep asking questions, is Tet McMillan's my 102 right now. I prefer Drake London over the 102. I'm sorry. I prefer Drake London over Tet McMillan, but I do not prefer the 102. I do not prefer Drake London over the 102 because the 102 could be anybody until you make that draft pick. A lot of people really are just like, well, it's Tet McMillan or London. No, it's not necessarily, because Cam Ward gets a landing spot that people like and someone wants to trade up. Drake London will not be worth more than the 102, period. He's not worth the 101. So until the draft day, I'm holding on to that 102. There are very few scenarios where that 102 is going to drop. Somebody's going to get a landing spot we like, whether it's Tet to New England, it's one of these quarterbacks, it's Travion Henderson to the Cowboys, it's Omarion Hampton to the Raiders. There's so many different scenarios where people are going to want to trade in there.
Yeah.
If I'm drafting on the clock, I'm taking the 102. If I'm a contender, I do want London, though. I want London everywhere, and I can tell you kind of feel the same way, Brock.
Yeah, picture Travis Hunter going to the Pats, Brock. Like Travis Hunter, the Pats says, I'm playing full-time wide receiver with Drake, man. Yeah. Like, I don't care if it ends up working. I don't care if you think it's not going to work. The day that would be announced and that pick goes in and that hype is building, Drake London wouldn't be valued equally to a Travis Hunter going that high, 4th overall to the Patriots being the wide receiver 1 there. It's just how the market works. I don't make the rules.
No, that's definitely good insight there. It sounds like, I mean, that's another conversation. I think Travis Hunter's full-time receiver, he's rivaling GT with the 101 low key. He's up there at the 102, 103 full-time. But yeah, it was just end of the season, seeing Penix there with London, those last few games, you get a little bit excited. But it makes sense. Hold on to that pick. Let it just get value over time. The closer we get to it, it'll get value. So good insight there on that one. All right, trade number 5. It's going to be from Michael Andrucci. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, Michael. Coming from the Patreon as well. One side of it's going to be Jamar and Kincaid. Other side is going to be Tucker Kraft, the 107, 2 random 26 firsts, and Javon Baker. So quite a lot on this one. Paying up for Jamar. Dad, what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm at this point, I prefer Kraft over Kincaid, or at least at that same spot. So I'm going to cancel these 2 out. Yeah. Just like the trade that I made in the beginning there, we always say if you're trading a stud, right, you need to get something that's proven. The reason I liked making that trade to get Bryce Young was my 27 first, right? I knew I was giving, because you don't want to give up a Jamar Chase or a Lamar Jackson for some randoms. So the 107 this year, let's call that just Ibuka, or maybe, maybe Travion Henderson. We don't know what that's going to be, and 2 random 26 firsts. If those randoms become late, Jamar Chase wins this hands down. If those randoms become early, the pick side wins this. But I mean, I would rather go back to the owner and just say, you know what, here, let's get rid of the 107 and give me a wide receiver that I like in that range. Give me someone that is going to be a certified player that I know what I'm going to get, someone that I tier down to that next level. Because, give me Rashee Rice in 2 random firsts, or give me T. Higgins in 2 random firsts, or even, if I knew that was Rome Odunze in 2 random firsts. Now I'm like, this is what I have, and I think if you're not rebuilding, this is the way I'm playing that one. And this is kind of how I suggested it in the Patreon.
Yeah, I agree with that on that and that one. When you're giving up a Jamar Chase, I need some type of like meat and potatoes that I'm getting back. And to me, it's tough here. Like I'd rather, like Dad said, I'd rather replace one of those random 26 first. I'd want the 107 and a 26 first, and I'd want to get a T Higgins, a Devontae Smith, a Roma Dunze, one of these type of guys, like to put in here because I know I'm guaranteed getting a hit. That's probably going to be a top 20 wide receiver on top of 2 firsts. That 107 could be a stud running back in this year's class. It could be in 2026. It could also be another stud, a Nick Singleton, a Jeremiah Love, one of these type of running backs. And then Javon Baker's literally Puka Nacua Jr. So once he breaks out next year with Drake May, we're good to go.
Well, and the thing with that, and this is something that I get daily in the Discord. This is something that Snoog and I have had major success in Dynasty is 1, paying attention to the settings, and then 2, paying attention to what that roster looks like. We can literally look at a roster and just be like, you know what? That's about a 70% chance to be a early first, or this is something that is going to be a mid first, and we kind of really know where they're going to be. You just don't want to guess. Random to me is not a word I like to use because random to me means late. If I don't have a good beat on it, it's late. So another one from the Patreon. I love this one. This is a couple.
Yeah, so this one's coming from Mark and Rachel. So one side's going to be, again, Drake London, but this time with the 112 and the 208, or Devonta Smith, the 104 and the 202. What do we think here, Dad?
This one's tough. Like this one's really tough because the difference between the 104 and the 112 in this class, Snoog and I have said it before, like if this was 104 and 110, I mean, Drake's a smash here. Like this is where I feel like I can get something in that similar value. For me, though, I'm slightly leaning the Devonta Smith side because I feel like I'm gonna get Devonta Smith, who's at least 80% of what Drake London is. If AJ Brown stays, if AJ Brown, and we've had some problems here in Philadelphia, not this week, but I mean, if AJ Brown leaves and there's trade rumor to the Patriots and a bunch of other teams, Devonta Smith is a bona fide wide receiver 1. At worst, you're getting a nice, solid wide receiver 2. At the 104, I'm going to get my RB2 of this class or my QB. And at 202, I'm going to load up and I'm going to get another running back. I mean, Harold Fannin Jr., maybe Cam Scatabo are at 202, maybe even some wide receivers that start to really, move up boards. I love the draft capital. I love Devonta Smith here. And it's tough, but I'm leaning Devonta side.
Yeah, I'm going Devontae side too. I don't think the gap between Smith and London is that big to begin with. You're getting like a big jump up from 104 to or 112 to 104 and 208 to 202. Those are 2 giant tiers. It'll end up being 2 giant tiers too, because the 202 is going to be like one of the big 5-6 running backs, like Judkins, Hampton, Johnson, Henderson, one of those guys that falls to that early, like whoever goes to the Browns on day 2 or the Giant, like one of those spots that people don't love, or it's going to be like a Colson Loveland, one of those good tight end prospects that we have. And I really like, what is Drake London's ceiling? Like, what is his, like, is it that much bigger than Devontae Smith's? Like, I really don't think it is. Like, I think Drake London, you're pinning him in for like 1,200 to 1,300 yards, 6 to 8 touchdowns, and like 100 receptions. That's like his ceiling, in my opinion. Like, he's not going to be a 1,600-yard receiver ever. He doesn't have that type of talent. He's just a really solid wide receiver 1. Smith's going to be a guy that's on that 1,000 plus, 8 to 10 touchdowns, 90 receptions. So the gap in points is going to be like 40, 50 fantasy points at best. To me, I would take getting the RB2 in this class or the wide receiver 1 in this class or whatever it's going to be over whoever the 112 is going to be, like Jackson Dart or one of these guys is just a flyer type player. So that's how I look at this trade.
Yeah, that's a good one there. So moving on to trade number 7, coming from Logan Detweiler. So this is a single QB one. So switching gears a little bit. One side's going to be DJ Moore and Trevor Lawrence, or David Montgomery, the 208, the 308, and a 26 third. Dad, what do we think here in a single QB league?
Jacksonville, Community, Duval, huh? We got it. I mean, I love buying Trevor Lawrence. If this was Superflex, I would smash that side even easier. I have DJ Moore over David Montgomery, and in a 208 and 308, like if I needed a second quarterback, I would pay the 308 and the 26th third for Trevor Lawrence. So we're looking at Monty in the 208 or DJ Moore. And based off the Ben Johnson news, Caleb Williams this year, I think DJ Moore is the side I want here because
Same.
I mean, I threw this one in there just to kind of razz on the new coach of the Jaguars. But honestly, I mean, I think it's DJ Moore for me.
Yeah, DJ Moore is going to play like kind of that Amon-Ra St. Brown role, just that yak player. I mean, he's great downfield as well. He's going to have a lot of fun with Ben Johnson as the head coach there. So a lot of creativity coming. Big second year from Caleb Williams coming, and DJ Moore is going to thrive. So I'd smash this easy, even if it was 208 and another second. Big gap between DJ Moore and David Montgomery for me.
Yeah.
Snoop, the market value on DJ Moore right now is the 111. Like, what are you willing to pay in this?
I'd pay probably pay 108. Yeah.
8 was what I was saying. That's what I put in the Discord with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because, to me, DJ Moore has, he's played rock solid. Like he's been great at times. I think he just needs a little bit more stability, and I think they get it this year.
He's good no matter what. Right? Like even with a bad quarterback, bad system, he's good. He's a 1,000-yard guy, but we saw the ceiling there when Fields was cooking with him. He had like 1,300 yards in the top 5 finish. So
yeah, good work there, Logan. So another one coming from the Patreon, John Lord. One side of the trade is going to be AJ Brown, T. Higgins, the 107 and the 102. Other side is going to be McCaffrey, Jamar, Khalil Shakir, and the 206. Snoog, is this kind of similar to that other one? You're moving Jamar, but you're getting back some solid assets. Does this obviously change your opinion from moving on from Jamar?
I would absolutely. I think that's cowbell territory for AJ Brown.
Oh, that was coming, baby.
Yeah, you're getting. I'd take AJB and 102 over Jamar straight up, and then you're getting T and 107 for CMC, Shakir, and 206 in my opinion. So it's like you're getting a chance at probably an elite running back at 107. 102 is going to be the second best player in this class. Could be Ted McMillan to the Patriots. It could be Travion Henderson to the Cowboys. It could be Quinshon Judkins first round to the Chargers. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm excited to see how the combine and everything plays out, because there will be a second running back taken in the first round. I'm truly confirmed on that. 107 could also be like an Emeka Ibuka or Luther Bird into a good landing spot in the first round. So all day, AJ Brown, T. Higgins in the pick side for me.
Yeah, and this is an absolutely incredible deal. This is one him and I worked through on the Patreon. And for me, it's like, dude, AJ Brown, the 102 for Chase, the 107 equals CMC, and the 206. So you just got T. Higgins for Khalil Shakir. And as much as I love Shakir, he's not T. Higgins, and this is one where we worked through this trade. This is not what it looked like in the beginning. And it just kept getting better and better. We went back and forth. And it's like, the one thing about being in the Patreon is it's like you're doing trade negotiations with your league mates, right? And then you throw in some sharks of like how we go about making these type of trades. And that's why, to me, honestly, the Patreon is like the best thing you can get into. $5 a month. This trade here is going to pay money right off the bat. This is going to feed families for the next several years. So it's like, dude, $5, a great trade there, man. Love it, John.
Yeah, good work there, John. So the next trade here is coming from Dilly from Twitter. And one side's going to be the CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott stack. Other side is BTJ, the 109 and the 205. What do we think, Snoog?
This one was tough because I actually saw this in there and saw people kind of going back and forth with it. I'm going to take the Lamb and the Dak side, because I think I'm taking Lamb over BTJ and 205, and I think Dak over the 109 is about what he's probably worth, like the 107 in my opinion. But if it's 12 team super flex, 6-point passing, just getting that Lamb and Dak stack. We got a new head coach over there in Dallas, a new fresh beginning. I'm seeing a lot of Ashton Junty and a lot of Luther Burden going to Dallas. Draft analysts are expecting them to add another weapon. Dak Prescott already wasn't really mobile anymore due to previous injuries, so I'm not super worried about that injury to his leg. He's going to stand in the pocket. He'll probably start off rusty. There'll be a buy window, but I think he's going to gain his value back, and he's going to be a guy that maybe in 2026 or 2025, 4,500 yards, 30-plus touchdowns again. I just think Lamb is so damn good, and BTJ is great. Like, what BTJ did was special, but I don't think the 205 is going to get me to move off of Lamb for BTJ. So I take the stack here, but it's a good offer. It's a good trade.
See, I was looking at it similar. BTJ and the 109 or Lamb for me. You know what I mean? And then Dak for the 205, it's a smash. Like you're taking, if you need the quarterback, if you don't need the quarterback and you really want to tear down off of this, I would potentially, if I'm rebuilding, sell Lamb for BTJ and 109. Or if that 205 was a 26 first, now I think we're talking about a real situation here where I would consider the other side. But as is, it's Lamb and Dak.
Yeah, totally agree with you guys on that one. So next trade is coming from C Marvin 21 over from X. One side's going to be Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr., so a pair of rookies from last year. Other side is Zay, the 103 and the 110, and this is a super flex league. What do we think here with this one, Dad?
See, Brock, the tricky part is there. The hardest part of doing these trades is, do I call it Twitter or X? I put X on there just
I've been going back and forth.
Because generationally, I'm the old guy. I'm going to call it Twitter. You know what I mean? And then you switched it up on me. But this trade here, right now, I would say Marv is a little bit over the 103. And I want Drake May over the 110 and Zay Flowers all day long. Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr. are two of my biggest buys. I think Drake May, obviously going to the Pro Bowl, is about to get himself a wide receiver one way or another, whether it's T. Higgins, A.J. Brown in a trade, or Tet McMillan. I mean, he just had a phenomenal rookie season with some of the worst wide receivers you've ever seen. Marvin Harrison Jr. had a productive rookie season, but he's way over what you're going to get at the 103. So for me, I love those two assets. You've seen a little bit from them. The 103 and 110 are going to be nice players. Zay's a solid wide receiver too, but we've seen enough from him to know that he's not a bona fide wide receiver one.
Yeah, very comfortably taking Drake May and Marvin Harrison Jr. here. I think you get two cornerstone assets, and you got two players that have the upside and talent to be top 5 to 10 at their positions.
Yeah.
Brock, I set you up on this one. I didn't put Twitter or X. I'm going to let you determine.
We don't know where this one's coming from, but trade number 10 here coming from Dylan Hart. So it's going to be 107 and Naylor or George Pickens. So George Pickens or the 107, Snook?
107 all day. And this is coming from a guy that loves George Pickens, loves the talent. It's just not going to be there in Pittsburgh. I really think that they're going to take an Ollie Gordon, a Quinshon Judkins, one of these Omarion Hampton, big body, run through your face running backs. That's going to help them do what they want to do, run the football and play good defense. I just don't think Pickens, especially with Arthur Smith there, is ever going to be a guy that really gets to hit his true ceiling. If he leaves, then we're talking a different story. But I think right now, 107, way more liquid asset. You can get a Emeka Egbuka, Luther Burden, Judkins, Henderson, some of these other studs in a class that is very underrated right now that I think is going to gain a lot of value post-draft.
Totally agree. The only way you lose this trade is if Pickens gets traded. So go with the 107 side, and you'll be able to buy Pickens back anyways cheaper.
Yeah, agree with you guys on that one. Trade number 11 is coming from Zeb FF. One side of the trade is going to be Rashee Rice in the 103. Other side is Caleb Williams, Najee Harris, the 402, and the 502. Snoog, what do we think on this one?
Yeah, this one, I think I'm taking Caleb Williams very easily, especially if it's just super flex. I think Rashee Rice is a great piece. 103 is a great piece. I'm fully in. Caleb Williams is my QB8 in Dynasty right now. This is probably what I would pay, want to pay for him max, but I would pay it. If I could, because if he hits, he's going to be a top 5 Dynasty QB, and he's going to be worth a lot more than this. Rice is probably worth a late first right now, maybe mid to late. So it's mid to late first and 103 for Caleb Williams. I just think Caleb Williams, obviously would have been the clear 101 in this draft by a mile, and you could have gotten 3 first plus for him. Yeah. Not a bad trade. I think it's actually very market value. I'm probably crazy saying Caleb Williams. I think Dad's going to say you take Rice in the 103 here, but I just would make this bet on Caleb Williams here in Superflex.
So Zeb is in the Patreon. I had the cowbell ready to roll on that bad boy on the other side because I love Rashee Rice. He's someone that I've bought everywhere. I have him worth the 105 right now. I have him as a foundational wide receiver. It's almost February, and we have not heard anything about the update on what's going to happen for legal ramifications. Even if it's 6 games, I think I'm getting myself. It really depends on what the quarterback situation here is. But I think if you can get Rashee Rice in the 103, Najee right now is literally just a sweetener because Najee Harris, I don't think is going to either comes back on to Pittsburgh or he goes somewhere as a 1B. I don't think he gets a bell cow role. So I love Rashee Rice. I don't love what's at the 103. Like if we call this Rashee Rice and Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, maybe not. But you know what I love to do. I got that raw piece there. Everybody wants the 103. Not everybody wants Caleb. So I'm going to take the Rashee Rice side and roll.
Yeah, that's a good one there. I think I'm gonna agree with Snoog on that one. I just think it's obviously situational too. I mean, if Caleb's your QB3, maybe you're more open to doing that getting Rashee Rice in the pick. But if you need that quarterback, there's no one better to bank on than the 101 of last year with a new OC, or a new head coach. All right, trade number 12 here, coming from Tyler Bitters over from the Patreon, and he says he was offered the 107 and Jalen McMillan for his 106, 204, and 27 second. So essentially moving back a spot and then trading the 204 and a second in 2027 for Jalen McMillan. Snoog, what do we think?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take McMillan at 107 here. I don't know what Jalen McMillan's worth right now, if I'm being honest with you. I haven't seen a single Jalen McMillan trade.
He's tough. He's tough to value right now.
He's one of those. Godwin's a free agent. He's one of those players that I'm taking the 106 here and 204.
Thank you.
I think the
staying put. He's telling him to stay put.
I'm going to be honest. I didn't even see the 27 second here. So that's just, that ends the deal breaker for me. I was thinking McMillan versus the 204. And then I started thinking who's going to be there at the 204? It's probably going to be a running back that's a much better prospect and player than Jay McMillan is. So give me that all day.
This is what I suggested because I'm okay, the 106, I'm going to get a preferred player, right? I mean, who I want between the 106 and 107. There could be a tier break by the time it's all said and done between 6 and 7. In the Patreon, I have Jalen McMillan worth the 201. I would not pay the 201. I would not pay any first for him. But you tell me at 204 that Trey Harris is there, which I think he could be, or, one of these other running backs that I like. I get the preferred spot. I get the 204, which is what I said I'm willing to pay for McMillan, and a free 27 second. It's a smash for me.
Yeah, definitely. Those trades too, it's hard to make those trades right now, moving back one spot. It could be worth nothing down the line, or 3 months down the road. You're like, shit, this guy now holds all the leverage over me, picking right before me.
If Godwin resigns, then McMillan's value goes down dramatically. If they don't draft a wide receiver and they don't bring in Godwin, McMillan after the draft would be worth a late 26 first, with the way he finished the season.
Yeah. So moving on here to the next trade, coming from Luis Moncada, coming from the Patreon. So one side of it's going to be Mahomes in the 101, or Anthony Richardson, Brandon Ayuk, and a pair of firsts there, the 107, 108. Extra little caveat, he already has the 102 and 105, but he has no running backs right now. So a lot to digest there. Snoog, what do we think here?
I'm smashing Mahomes in 101, easily for me. I think I'm taking the 101 over Richardson and 108, and then I'm taking Mahomes easily over Ayuk in the 107. Or you could look at it from the other way, Ayuk in 108 for 101. It's not enough. Yeah. You're getting top 2 round startup picks here. Junty, literally the day he gets drafted to the Bears or the Cowboys that high, he's going to probably be right in that early second round range in startup value. And then you're getting Mahomes, who's going to be literally one of the best quarterbacks fighting for being the GOAT. He'll never be the GOAT because I'm a Tom Brady fan, but he'll get close to it. And just that guy being good for 15 plus years, he'll always have top 5 QB value no matter what. And who knows if they get rid of Matt Nagy as their OC, he's a guy that can be putting up 5,000 yards with ease. So give me Mahomes in the 101.
Yeah, we talked about this last week, right? I'm buying Ayuk everywhere, but this is one of those ones where you take that turd sandwich and you polish it up real good and you turn Anthony Richardson into Patrick Mahomes, and then you upgrade to the 101. I mean, this is a smash. This is a no-brainer. Luis nailed this one.
Yeah, I think some of the appeal there was, maybe I get 4 of the first top 8 picks, but at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with Mahomes or 101 in that one. All right, moving up to the next trade, J. Ricky 88. So this is a 12-team Superflex league. Looks like one side of it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and George Pickens. And I'm assuming this is Bryce Young, Tyreek Hill, and the 208. So T-Lon Pickens or Young, Tyreek, in the 208. Dad, which side are we taking here?
Jay Ricky's another guy in the Patreon. And I know a lot of you guys, message on YouTube and you're like, why'd you guys read so many questions from the Patreon. And one of the things that's part of the VIP package is we will put these questions on the show for you guys. You can always DM us. You can always send us when every single week we're putting it out there. We're going to do the show 9:30 Eastern Standard Time every single Tuesday. Brock is taking over that host chair admirably. You know what I mean? So we're going to keep doing the same thing. So, put it on there when we put our tweets out there. Put it out there on YouTube, and the best way is to be in that Patreon. We're going to give you this type of insight where Snoog and I are going to give you what we think on trades, and this one's a smash. I'm buying Trevor Lawrence everywhere I can, and then right after that, I'm saying, you know what, Pickens, I'm trading you. Like, I love Bryce Young, and I love Lawrence, but I think Lawrence with a new coach, I think Cohen, as weird as he is going to do some things in Jacksonville. I'm trading Pickens as soon as possible. Yeah. Because the way I look at this is, I have Lawrence above Hill, I have Lawrence above Bryce Young. And then I think, Pickens and Hill are pretty close. What you got, Snoop?
Bryce Hill. I think Bryce Hill is better than Mahomes.
Young and Hill. Yes.
I'm taking Lawrence and Pickens here easily. Definitely for me. I think Lawrence is comfortably over Bryce Young, and then I think George Pickens is very comfortably over the 208. So I'm running away with a bargain here.
For sure. So next trade here, it's coming from Green Fan over there on X. So he says this is a retooling team, and he already has the 101 and the 102. Should he trade the 102 and the 26 second for a 27 fourth? Oh, and the 27 fourth for AJ Brown and a 26 first.
I'm going to say no words, Dad. Just bring it out.
AJ Brown, baby. Let's go. AJ Brown is really close to the 102 to start, and then you're essentially just giving up a 26 second and 27 fourth, and I can't spell the word and for the 26 first. So, we have guys were messaging comments the entire time. So, we're going to try to get some quick hitters here. Again, there's the patreon.com, for you guys to sign up. We got some of these comments on here. I love it. Justin's like, Dad and Snoog are two of the best. They know their stuff. We have Jalen Hurts or the 103, the 110, and Bryce Young. Snoog.
I love this one. I actually was thinking about it. I was reading this in the comments. I'm going to go with Bryce Young here because I think you can get a first plus a little for Bryce. I'm making the bet on Bryce just coming out strong next year. Mm-hmm. Getting the 103 and the 110 on top, just adding more value to the roster. And I think that it'll really help the team out and just getting all this value for a guy like Jalen Hurts that can't really he'll never really gain any more value. Even if will he ever be over Allen and Lamar? Probably not. So it's he's kind of peaked out at that QB 3 to 5 range for me. So
dude,
I like it.
I love this.
This one looks really similar. Same thing.
I thought it was the same, but it's not the exact same. I think Bryce Young right now, Jalen Hurts is worth 3 firsts, but that 103 is like 1.5 firsts. So the 103, Bryce Young at 110 or 112, I'm taking it either way. I love you guys almost said the same thing. Justin said Dad and Snoog are two of the best. This guy says yes, Dad and Snoog are worth listening. They know their stuff. You guys are both. I don't know if you guys have been talking backstage. If you guys message each other.
we got to show people real quick, Dad. I don't think people really know what comes in this Patreon. I'm just gonna share my screen real quick and show just the generic trade talk chat that we built with all the people in there, the 500 plus people just talking shop 24/7. This is literally what it looks like from just today alone. So it started, I'm on Pacific time with this laptop, so you see 5:23 a.m., but it's really 8:30. So from 8:30 in the morning, this is how this chat went. And you could see you got 20 plus people putting in input on every single one of these trades and polls just nonstop all day long. This is what we got. This is the past 2 days right here. People are never when we say this doesn't sleep, we're being serious that this never sleeps. And this is the fantasy football chat that we got in here. They're just talking shop 24/7, helping each other out. So this is why we do this, is to help you guys out and build a community. And we want other people engaging in there. It's not just you come for me and Dad. You come for 500 plus other people that are in there that want to help you out with your advice too.
Love that. We have, I'm going to go with you because honestly, Brock, you've been killing it. You've been slaying on the host chair. I'm going to flip it on you. How are we feeling about Bucky Irving right now from Jonah Farrer?
So Bucky's an interesting one. I'm actually down in Tampa, so I got to kind of witness the Bucky hype firsthand here with all my Bucks fan friends. I think it's one right now that I'm not actively going out and buying them, but I'm actually not selling them either. And I see a lot of people on Twitter saying they're selling Bucky. We do have a really good running back class coming in, but like sometimes you just got to use your eyes, look at the player, and you got to love what you see. Bucky's electric. Bucky's special. Maybe Liam Cohen leaving, another OC coming in. Maybe things change, but he's 10 times the player Rachaad White is, way more explosive. I think he's even a better pass catcher. Once you just get the ball in his hands, it's just go. So I'm holding Bucky everywhere I can. If I can buy him for a late first, then I would. I don't know if you can be able to get that right now. I don't know what his market value is. Maybe like the 108 to 110, probably 106.
No, I've seen 104 to 106. I would pay the 106, but I wouldn't touch the 104.
Yeah. So that one's tough, but yeah, if you can get the 103 to 105, I think you have to for him. But yeah, I'm not paying that for him. I don't think I would right now, especially in January. Let those picks keep on getting value.
Agree with that. That's a good analysis of Bucky Irving right now.
So this one's coming. That one from Wyatt.
This is cool because this is, Marty, he commented last week. He said, fire content as usual. I joined 2 startups in the Patreon as well. That's another thing where you're playing with random dudes. When you're talking, you just sign up on Sleeper, you just find the guys on X. When you have guys in there, they're guys that are, we have one of the most positive communities in there, but you're finding 11 other guys who are just like you, who are degenerate, who want to make trades. Brock, you can attest to Smash Accept 15. I personally made 15 trades in the startup. As a whole, we made 28, and it was it was crazy active.
Yeah, that startup was easily the most active startup I've ever been in. There are trades coming in left and right. We're in like the damn near 12th, 14th round of that startup, and people are still looking to slide up and down the draft board. So this one coming here from Malik. It's going to be Rashee Rice or the 103 and the 205. He is rebuilding, already has the 101. So Rice or the 103 and 205.
103, 205. Easy for me. You're getting a liquid asset that can't lose value. Rice, if he gets suspended for a year, coming off a torn ACL, I'd pay like the 107 for Rice. That's where I'm at. He's in that range, slightly above DJ Moore, but
I'm at the 105. The only way I'm doing, if this is one quarterback, I think I'd consider Rashee Rice, but I still think it's the 103 and 205, no matter your format there. And it looks like you guys have been, there's so many questions in here. Sorry to cover your face, Brock, but the last one there.
Yeah. So this one is Mark LJ123 coming in and saying, just curious on your thoughts on who you would trade, or even if you would. He already has Jefferson, Neighbors, Nico, Rashee, and BT. So hell of a receiver room there. Would you trade one of these guys for a good RB2? So right now at quarterback, he has Hurts. He also has Bowers. He only mentioned Barkley, so it looks like maybe he only has Saquon RB, but he has all those good receivers. Would you trade one of those receivers for a running back right now?
Yeah. You have Jefferson, Neighbors, Nico, Rice, BTJ. You have 5 foundational wide receivers. Even if you're flexing in that way, I would tier down. Out of this group, I would tier down off of Nico Collins, and I would try to get, another wide receiver plus, and then get a running back. I want we say it all the time, Snoog, but give me a Kamara or Mixon, and then let me tier down from Nico Collins to, maybe Devonta Smith would be bad. I think you could go from Nico to T. Higgins and get a James Conner thrown on, or you get an Alvin Kamara or a Joe Mixon. That's the way I'm playing this.
I think I'd want more than that. I think the play would be probably go from like Nico to Garrett Wilson, Drake London, one of those. I think Brock and I are a lot higher on Nico than you are. Nico's in like my top 6, top 7. Mm-hmm. So I think, but like something along those lines, or I'd literally just take like a Rashee Rice plus or one of those type of guys and go get Gibbs, Bijan, one of those guys. If you have a ton of draft capital and extra picks laying around, like a 108 or whatever, like a mid first or a late first, like take that and Rice and see what that gets you for one of those stud guys. But again, I'm not buying any running backs until this draft ends. Like I want to see where these guys go, because I know everybody says it and everyone's been saying like this draft class is stacked for running backs. It really is. Like it's not just people saying it just to say it. It really is probably the best class I've watched at the running back position film wise and just running them through models and analytics and production since 2017. It doesn't have as much at the top end as 2017 did, but it has the depth that 2017. There's a lot of James Conner, Aaron Joneses, Joe Mixon's in this draft class. There's not a lot of like CMC, Alvin Kamara type, but there's a lot of those rock solid, like back end RB1 type guys, like your Quinchard Judkins, Amari Hamptons, Caleb Johnsons, Cam Scatabo. You get into like the Devin Neal, Ollie Gordon, some of these other guys, deep class, like 15, 17 deep. So I think the record's 30 running backs taken in 2017. I think we get 25 plus taken in the draft this year.
Hey, we need it. The running back position needs it right now. And Dynasty. It does.
Same
that
with
whole
the tight
2017
end.
class is getting old. We got like 5 guys we want. We need an influx like we've had it with receiver here in the last 4 seasons, 4 drafts.
Yep. Same with tight end.
Brock,
we're going to get it.
Brock, you crushed it again, so I'm going to let you end it with the proper way of, hey, thanks for tuning in, guys.
And enjoy the process.
Boom.